Okay, for those who can't get out to tonight's service at St. Mary's Baptist Church, we're looking at a summary of Romans chapter 9. The first three verses show Paul's heart and his concern for Israel, his kinspeople. He goes as far as saying he wished that rather he were cut off and accursed and anathema for the sake of his people, Israel. Of course, that's impossible. There's only one who could have done that deal, and he did do that deal, and that's Jesus Christ, who was anathema for us on Calvary. He talks about Israel's national privileges in verses 4 through to 5, and all that they had. Theirs belongs the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship, the promises, the patriarchs, and from them, according to the flesh, is Christ, who is God over all, blessed forever. Amen. The privileges that the Jews had, and yet despite them, by and large, they reject the gospel and are hostile to the gospel. And then Paul has to address this issue. What has come then of God's promises? Have God's promises failed to his ancient people, Israel? And throughout the chapter, by incident after incident, he shows that actually God's promise was always to spiritual Israel and not to national Israel. It's not from human descent from Abraham that puts us right with God. He shows that by bringing out the fact that Abraham had two sons, Ishmael as well as Isaac. But it's through Isaac that you will be blessed, says God. So it's not mere physical descent that matters and counts. It's like saying, well, I'm from a Christian family, therefore I'm safe. We're not. There must be a spiritual response to the gospel. Then the next section where he speaks about Esau and Jacob, it's not by works. Here are twin boys in the womb of Rebekah and one father, Isaac, and yet before any child had done right or wrong, anything good or bad, God makes a decision according to election. The older will serve the younger. Then those very stark words, Esau I hated and Jacob I loved. And it's not by works. The children had done nothing, but God chooses Jacob and he passes over Esau. And it's very plain here that we are saved through God's purposes in election. It's not of works, but of him who calls. That is made very, very clear. And then we come to the incident in verses 14 to 18 where Moses and Pharaoh are compared. And as well as not being by works, it's not even by a human decision. It's not by human will, but it's all of mercy. And God saying, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. God's sovereign choice. It's not by human descent. It's not by human action. It's not even by a human decision, but it's all of mercy. Mercy means mercy. Grace and mercy, nothing to do with you or I, who we are, what we've done, or what we decide. It's all of mercy. And we have these awesome words, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will harden whom I will harden. And we're told of Pharaoh, I raised you up for this very purpose, that I might display my power in you. Pharaoh, we're told, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. But also we're told time and time again in the Exodus account that Pharaoh hardened his own heart. And certainly that happens today when people resist the gospel. We're told in Romans chapter 1, therefore God gave them over. Since they reject him and his ways, God gave them over. Then comes the objection, well then, how can God find fault? Verse 19, stark question. And God gives a very stark answer, verses 20 and 21. Who are you, O man, to answer back to God? Man and God being compared and contrasted. Has God not got the right to make from the same lump of clay something for noble use and something for ordinary use? And that's the first answer. And then God gives these amazing words, 22 to 24, and opens up a glimpse of his ways. What if, verse 22 starts off, What if God chooses to display his mercy on some by showing the deserved wrath he has on others? What if there are vessels prepared for wrath and prepared by themselves? They've hardened their own hearts. And God chooses to have mercy on vessels prepared by God for mercy. Vessels prepared for wrath prepare themselves. Vessels prepared for mercy are prepared by God for that mercy. And God opens up something of his heart here. If none were saved, we'd only get our just deserts, for none deserve mercy. We'd see God's justice, but mercy would not be displayed. If God saved everybody, as he could have done, but if he did save everybody, this would be mercy. But how would we know what mercy was apart from seeing the justice displayed on the final day of judgment? But with some being saved, we see exactly what we've been saved from, and have to say it's mercy all, immense and free. And that mercy is displayed even on us, whom he has called. And then towards the end of the section, we learn the true nature of Israel, spiritual Israel. It includes Gentiles as well as Jews. And Paul being inspired to use Hosea, those who were not a people I will call my people. On those whom I had not had mercy, I will have mercy. Speaking of the Gentiles. And also in verses 27 to 29, a remnant from Israel will be saved also. So the totality, Israel will be saved, spiritual Israel, Gentile and Jew together. And that's a summary of where we've got to in the first 29 verses of Romans chapter 9.